Do subs even need real femdoms anymore? You're listening to The Mistress Code. I'm RacyWilde. Around the internet, I'm seeing large numbers of submissive social groups forming that are flooded with female submissives. A lot of the female submissives have a dom, but a lot of them don't. I see them talk about everything to do with submission from their own point of view. In doing so, they have created their own obscure understanding of submission, and anyone who doesn't fit their box isn't a real dominant. Collectively, they are creating a functified version of submission, just as porndom has to femdom, which essentially will make these subs undesirable. Why? Because submission is supposed to be shaped by the dominant's desires. So if submission comes already pre-shaped, then it's too hard or annoying to uncondition and retrain a sub. But it is best to leave the brood to themselves, because if you stand contrary to them, they will try to peck you to death. Learning too much from other submissives about submission and the femdom or dominant dynamic or relationship will always obscure a sub's expectations and turn them into a submissive that is difficult to work with because they become sub-centric. Instead, it is best for a sub not to form strong opinions, especially about domination, but be open to create a natural DS dynamic with their femdom or dominant. But of course, if they want to be in control of their own submission, they can join a sub-centric online community group instead of having a real DS experience. Because of recent technologies, there is a push to create BDSM and femdom apps for men. As a femdom, my first thought is that I do not want to take on a submissive who has been trained by a bot. It is because they will have become a submissive in act only, not in spirit. Just following orders and doing actions does not make you a submissive. A submissive is an emotional and mental state that is activated by the connection you have with a dominant. Submission requires a dynamic, which is a power exchange relationship with a dominant. Such a power exchange does not exist with an AI. It is a human experience, a human relationship. An AI bot can never be considered a femdom because by law, it cannot be considered a person. And the person behind the bot, the creator, the scriptwriter, designer, is usually a man who wants to make money from femdom. So, men using femdom to make money. That's the definition of a pimp, isn't it? But where are the creators going to get the femdom material they need for their apps? They will take from all the femdoms that have written something and will throw it into the machine to be used to create ChatGPT apps. They will also take from submissive content, which will functify the femdom on these apps. Femdoms have already gone underground because of human content creators stealing their stuff. Now when app creators are doing it, you can imagine what will happen. Public femdom will become even more male-centric, and real femdom will even be more elusive. The other problem, apps do not require a submissive to do the emotional work needed to be in a femdom relationship. What they do is train you to be submissive without a femdom. They train you to be automated, and they trick you into thinking you are being dominated when in fact you are doing everything yourself. This will create you into one of the most undesired submissives, a self-centric submissive, a self-powered submissive. someone who champs at the bit for orders and does not give anything in return. When trained by a bot, you will not be able to provide what a real femdom desires or needs. Dynamic. A dynamic is a push and pull power exchange. It requires both people to give energy and bounce off each other to affect one another physically and emotionally. Sure, being trained by a bot, you will be able to perform tasks just as good as a robot. But your inequalities of connecting, open communication, compassion, and emotional intelligence will not be exercised. And this is the crux. A bot is designed to be perfect. A femdom isn't. It is the imperfections that makes a femdom relationship rewarding. Now, I'm going to let you in on a truth. A lot of submissive men are already on the track of being automated. Many have done it to themselves already, but I can see how many more will be tempted by the new apps that are coming out. Because a lot of submissive men have become automated, they have become give me order junkies, which means they are not viable options anymore as submissives for real femdoms. They run their submission on their own energy, controlling their submission, and as such, they try to control the femdom by prompts, by nagging, and by going over her head. They are automated to a bot, to a machine, so when they interact with a femdom, she sees this computerized submissive. I see it's only going to get worse, and the secret is, it is now a lot better to find a man outside of BDSM and the scene, a vanilla man, and convert him, than taking on a submissive in the scene who has created themselves. My advice, if you want a real femdom, you will need to develop a dynamic with her, and you need to allow her to create you into the sub she wants in her own time, at her own pace, to her own degree. So it means be careful not to create your own submission, so when you do come by a femdom, you can be sensitive and adjust to her rather than just running automated. If you just want to be a submissive for yourself, get a bot.